Hi, I'd like to share with you how this book and its philosophy came into my life 14 years ago, and from the very day I got it, it has provided me with insight and guidance ever since. It's easy to idealise how the universe can send guidance to us because it can come in many surprising ways. And when we idealise about it, it may be the idea of we're walking in an ancient forest, the sun comes out and a ray shines down upon us, and all of a sudden we're filled with wisdom and light. And that can happen, and maybe it does happen. But what I've found is that most of the insight and guidance that comes to me is in the very small things of life. It's in the mundane daily details when the big things happen and they can be easy to overlook. So I'd like to share my story, as I said, about this book and philosophy, The Four Agreements. It started 14 years ago, and I was at a spa for some rest and rejuvenation. My mum had passed away 6 months earlier after an illness of about 2 years, and it takes a toll. So I was having a week away at a spa as a treat for myself. And at this spa, on my first day, I met a woman. I'm not going to use a real name, I'll call her Lilith. And for the first couple of days, everywhere where I was in the spa complex, she was there. I went for an appointment, she was in the same waiting room. I went to the restaurant, she was in front of me in the queue. It was this great synchronicity that was happening, that the universe was saying, I'm bringing this woman to you. I'm bringing the two of you together because this is something you have to experience together. And so for the week, it turned out we had nearly all our meals together because we didn't need to plan to be at the restaurant at the same time. We just arrived at the same time. It was a beautiful piece of synchronicity in my life. And our discussions got deep and meaningful very quickly because I had shared with her my mum had passed a while ago. She was sharing with me her father had passed. And she was incredibly spiritual. She was much further ahead on her spiritual journey than I was at that time. And she had a lot of wisdom to share with me. Wisdom in terms of stories of how she had coped with this passing, about receiving messages, about how she knew when guidance was from her dad, and the physical things that can happen to us after someone has passed in order to reach us. She had, things break in the house, lots of things that were kind of unexpected and unexplained, and she knew it was her dad giving her a message. Now, probably at that time in my spiritual journey, I was a little bit spooked still by that. Still am, if I'm honest, but not as spooked as I used to be. But she talked about it in such a calm, matter-of-fact, very normal way. I felt a real affinity and closeness to her. And it was during close to the end of the week that she told me about this book, The Four Agreements. But before she told me about the book, she actually told me what the Four Agreements were. And it was her guide to a way of living, and it really enthralled me. It was simple, it was straightforward, it matched my own kind of earthly values as well at the time. And so this woman told me about this book, and when I got back home, I ordered it. And there are other books in this series as well. And The Four Agreements is by Don Miguel Ruiz. And it's about Toltec wisdom and the Toltecs of an ancient Mexican time, and that their leaders, the people in their community, were artists and creators and storytellers, and here were the four agreements that they lived by, and they passed down their lineage and onto their other children. And he is one of the very first people, I think, to actually commit this to writing, because it was a verbal tradition, and he's now shared it with the world for all of us to know and use, which is a very courageous and wonderful thing to do. I've read this book several times, and I read it every year. There's something that will happen every year for me to want to read this book, and it happened recently. I was getting caught up in the overwhelm and the fear of what's happening in the world, and I thought, I know what I need. I need the grounding of this wonderful book. And as I do with many of my books, I highlight the things that are important to me. So I'm going to tell you now what the four agreements are. I'm going to tell you what they are. I'm not going to give you the detail that is in this book because you can read it for yourself. And the four agreements are: number one, Be impeccable with your word. The second agreement, don't take anything personally. The third agreement, don't make assumptions. And the fourth agreement, always do your best. Now, the fourth agreement, always do your best, was something that my mum used to say to me all the time. As long as you've done your best, that's all that matters. Just do your best. Just do your best. And I did grow up with that sense of do your best. So when I started hearing these four agreements, I kind of also felt that perhaps my mum had sent Lilith, this woman at the spa, to meet me and help me through that grieving process and onto a very significant phase of my spiritual journey. So maybe here I am now talking to you in this vlog and you're listening and watching, and maybe this is a significant part, a significant step in your spiritual journey as well. The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, available in all good bookshops, and I suggest that you look at bookshop.org, which supports independent bookshops if you don't have one in your area. And then let me know what you think. Take care. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.